Are you ready? Roll it!
Hi everybody, this is Tiffany and I'm back with day 20 for the video blog challenge. As you can see, there is no green screen and there's no special guest, but I'm stepping out from behind there, or I guess from in front of there, to show you something that I think is kind of important. And I know I talked about how I don't frame or why I don't frame, but this one, it kind of ties in with framing, and it kind of ties in with hanging. So, hanging those frames. And it's basically why wall portraits are important and what exactly a wall portrait is. So, let's get started, because this one might be a little bit long, but I'm going to try to keep it pretty short, okay? As you can see, I have a bunch of pictures behind me, or maybe you can't see because I know I'm a little bit further away today, but it's so you can see the wall. And this is like supposed to be representative of a typical wall in almost any house. You know, you have a wall, you have a couch, you have chair or lights by each other. Just so this gives you kind of an idea of like a home environment, because, well, it's my home. It's like one of the places I found, I was going to say with no Santas, but there actually was one Santa and I moved it. Okay, so a wall portrait generally starts, for me personally, at about an 11 by 14. And that's what this is. This is framed. An 11 by 14 not framed would be, I can't hold everything, would be this size, which is about the same, as you can see. Framed and unframed. The only thing, the frame adds a little bit more structure to it, a little bit more weight, and a little bit more length and width. But for the most part, this is an 11 by 14. The only reason I count this as a wall portrait, because realistically it's not a wall portrait, is simply because A, you can do framing with it, and you can do some great compilations on the wall, and we're going to talk about that in a second. But realistically, and I want to show you this, when you put this up on a wall, and you got a couch, and like all this extra stuff, it kind of gets lost because it's so small. No matter which way you hang it, it's not that big. And especially when you're looking at it in conjunction with like the couch, with everything else on the wall, you're really kind of losing that picture. Now, a traditional wall portrait, to me personally, is anything 16 by 20 or larger. And this is a 16 by 20. We also have 20 by 24, 30 by 40, and then there's a 20, I should have said that the other way, but there's like a 26 size that I don't normally carry, but if that's something that you're interested in, I can definitely look for it for you. And then I'm also debating with the metal. I know there's another size somewhere in there that I'm thinking about carrying, but I'm not positive on it yet. I really want to see what it looks like. But this is a 16 by 20. And as you can see, this frame is a little bit thicker because a 16 by 20 can handle a bigger frame than an 11 by 14. Once you start putting in bigger frames and like 11 by 4, or put 11 by 14s or 8 by 10s or things like that into bigger frames, sometimes, unless it's customized, like how this has the colors to match in with the picture, then you start to lose some of that picture. Like, it kind of draws the eye away from it. And your picture and your portrait really should be the centerpiece of any wall or any portrait that you hang, or any portrait that you frame, whether you're putting it on a mantle or by a bed or whatever the case may be. You want the picture, not the frame, to be the centerpiece of it. If your frame's detracting and that's really all you're seeing, then that's too big of a frame, or that frame doesn't work for that picture. But getting back to the wall portrait size, as you can see, and this one I think I can actually get on the hook here. Ooh, if I can get it straight. Now, as you can see, it gives it a different perspective. It kind of holds its own. I'm going to step back here for a second. You can see how it holds its own against everything that's on the wall, versus that 11 by 14 that kind of looked like it was, I don't know, just like a little small thing on the wall. It almost looked like an 8 by 10 once you put it up on the wall. But a 16 by 20, you can tell that's definitely a wall portrait. When you get into a 20 by 24 and definitely a 30 by 40, by all means you can especially see, especially if it's like a metal or if it's canvas, then it definitely, I mean, it like makes that wall. You know what I hope you know what I'm saying. So this is why wall portraits are important, and to understand that when you're going to put something on a wall, it's so much better to have a wall portrait size that's professionally framed. This one is. That's mounted, and as you can see, and I don't know if you can, I'm actually going to come a little closer. I'm going to take it down and bring it closer. This picture, oh, hello everybody. This picture actually, I don't know if you can tell, has no glass to it. I'm a big component of not framing with glass, because I don't know if you've ever done it, but I know a lot of times people frame and they put that picture under glass, and then like year or two later they notice that there's kind of some moisture or that picture sticking to the glass. That's because that glass promotes condensation inside, because I don't know why. I'm not scientific. I'm sorry. I'm creative. Haha. But it does promote that. So I am a huge component of not framing with glass. Or if you're going to frame with glass, going somewhere, having it mounted where you have like the mat board around it, and then having that glass put over it. Because that way, with the mounting, it keeps that glass from flush being on the picture. Ooh, I'm just covering my face. It keeps it from flush being on the picture, and then it doesn't allow for that condensation to build up. So then when you go to reframe it, or maybe change out a frame, or put a different picture in, or anything like that, you don't have to worry that your portrait that you've spent whatever on is messed up under there. Good point. Now, when you do that, though, and again, I don't know if you're going to be able to see this, but I'm going to come a little closer to you now. As you can see, this is my normal mounting that my everything 11 by 14 and bigger comes with. It's Masonite mounting. It's a little heavier, a little sturdier. Knock on wood. Haha. And this has a UV spray coating over it. And I'm, again, a huge component of that. If you were going to mount something and you're going to put it in a frame, whether you use glass or not, make sure that it has a UV protectant so that from your windows or wherever light is coming from, it's not going to affect the color of your picture. And if you are going to put it under glass, there are some people that you can go to, and they have a coating that they can put on the picture as well. I'm not sure what it's called, but if you tell them you're looking for the coating because it's going under glass, they will know exactly what it is that you're talking about. And they can spray that on the picture to make sure that it doesn't build up that condensation. And again, you're not worried about that glass like conforming to the picture conforming to the glass and messing up your picture. And I have some pictures that before I knew all of this, yes, I messed them up. So yes, this is this has the UV coating on it, which means, like I said, UV rays, light from our lamps, whatever the case may be, will not cause any color display. Yeah, I can't think of the word. Because I'm doing this one pretty early in the morning. What is it? When it makes the color look weird. You know what I'm talking about. But yeah, it won't make your color look weird. There we go. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put this 11 by 14 up here. And then I'm going to stand away. And as you can see, look at, I mean, like you can't even really see that, you know. It's so much different than when we had that 16 by 20 up. So that's my example. Now another thing, and I know people do this all the time, instead of a 16 by 20, they're like, oh, I can just get a 10 by 13. Can you even see this on the camera? This is a 10 by 13 size. And as you can see, it's not a lot smaller. I'll come closer. It's not a lot smaller than the 11 by 14. And unfortunately, I don't have one of these framed, but I do have a 10 by 13 frame. And so I'm just going to hang the frame up here, just so you can get an idea of what it would be like. Okay, I mean, that pretty much blends with the wall. You know what I'm saying? Like, again, it's very hard to distinguish that that's an actual wall portrait size. And I don't even want to get started, but I'm just going to show it to you because I know there are tons of people who are like, all I need is an 8 by 10. Oh my gosh, if you're planning on putting something on the wall and that is the only picture you're going to put on the wall, you need something bigger than an 8 by 10. An 8 by 10 is not even going to be a blip on your wall. Unless, and this is what I was talking about with the compilations. If you're going to do something where you have a centerpiece, either say an 11 by 14, and then maybe you have an 8 by 10 on the side, like I've done this before for families where we'll have an 11 by 14 that's either vertical or horizontal, and it will have obviously the whole family in it, and then each individual family member will have their own 8 by 10. And what they'll do is either, you know, put, this is going to be hard to do, I only have one hook on my wall, but they'll put like the 11 by 14 here, and then they'll put like an 8 by 10 here, maybe another one here, another over there, another over there. Because then you're building a compilation on your wall. It's not just one picture that you're like hoping everybody can notice or that they understand that that is considered your wall portrait. It's like a full view of the wall. You get what I'm saying? I hope so. However, even in that, with the 11 by 14, even with the compilation, I'm still going to recommend a 16 by 20, especially depending on the size of your wall. Because if you have something with like some cathedral ceilings or like a floor-to-ceiling window that's across from where your couch normally sits or anything like that, if you do, you definitely want to get that UV coating on there. But if you have something, I mean, this is a slightly smaller wall, but if you have a bigger wall, having that 11 by 14, even with the compilations, is not going to give you the same aesthetic as having that 16 by 20. The 16 by 20 is always going to be the better size, or higher, depending, again, on the size of your wall, what statement you're going for in your house. It's always going to be better, because it's a definite wall portrait. It's a definite signature piece. Okay. And then I brought it out, but I don't even want to get started on the 5 by 7s because really, like, just put those on your mantle, please. I implore you. On the mantle, not on the wall. No. So yes, I hope that helped. If you have any questions about wall portraits or about like what kind of size your wall can handle, by all means contact me, because I am a huge component of why you need an actual wall portrait size on your wall, because it's just so important. You know, you invest in these pictures, whether they're portraits of your family, and especially if they're wedding pictures. You know, you invest in them. I'm going to come a little closer because I feel so far away from everybody. You invest in these pictures, and like, you know, you want them to enhance your home, and you want people to come in and be like, wow, look at your pictures. You know, and if you're putting an 8 by 10 on the wall, or God forbid, a 5 by 7, nobody's going to really notice unless you're like, hey, check out my new picture. But if you put a 16 by 20, a 20 by 24, I mean, even I came closer to you, and you can still notice the 16 by 20 behind me, as opposed to that 11 by 14. Like, and especially the 8 by 10. Like, could you even distinguish what that picture looked like? Think about it in that respect. And like I said, this is a smaller wall. So when you get into something that's a bigger wall, or something with cathedral ceiling, something, you know, where you've done all this other stuff, I mean, think about it. Your couches run, what, $400 or $500, if not more. I know one of the couches that I've seen that I absolutely love is like $1,200. Don't judge me. And then, you know, you got your lamps, which can be $200-300. You know, you've had your painting of your wall done, or if you've got any type of special overlay or structure to your wall, you've done that. You know, you've invested countless money in your rug or whatever it is, your hardwood that's on your floor. my point is that you've done so much to make your room, you know, absolutely pleasing and beautiful and like the showpiece for people to come in and be like, wow. Don't put an 8x10, no matter how gorgeous it might be, or a 5x7, or even a 10x13, really, on your wall, unless it's in a compilation. Because if you've done all of that to make your room absolutely pop and gorgeous, it's so important, because we're coming back to the why, it's so important that your wall portraits tie into that. And this is whether it's a portrait of you and your fiance, you and your family, yourself, or even if it's just art that you're buying, and not even a portrait, but a painting or I started to say sculpture. Who puts a sculpture on a wall? See, I told you it's early. A painting or, you know, anything of that sort that you're putting on your wall. Make sure it is a wall statement piece and that it is a wall portrait size. Because, seriously, and really, I mean, it should be something that's framed, that's mounted, that's gorgeous like this. It should be a canvas. It should be a metal print. It should be something that when people walk in, they're not walking in and they're like, oh, lovely room, and keep walking. They should be like, lovely room, and oh my gosh, look at that art on the wall. Because whether it's a picture of you and your family or yourself or your dog, it's still art on your wall. And so you want to make sure that it's speaking to your room and it's in line with your room and that it is flowing for you. So that is why wall portraits, correct wall portrait sizing is important. Okay. That was not as short as I was hoping, but I don't think it was as long as I thought it was going to be. So, we will be back tomorrow again, because 10 days. That's it. 10. Like, you remember when we started? We had like 29? 10. That's it. Okay. So, we will be back. And if you have, like you said, if you have any questions about wall portraits or anything else, any otherwise that you want to know, by all means, contact me. Leave it on any of my social medias because I go over them all like 8 million times, as well as they're at the end of the video. And I will be back tomorrow with another why. I don't know if it will tie in with this or what it will do, but it's the weekend, baby. And talk to you soon. Bye.